The Black Sea is slipping through Ukraine's fingers, and Odesa is paying the price in fire, darkness, and fear. Russian fire rains down on Odesa, and Ukraine begins to lose the sea itself. For more than a week, Garand drones, Iskander ballistic missiles, and Caliber cruise missiles have pounded bridges, ports, and substations, leaving the region with more than 30 electrical facilities destroyed and endless lines at empty gas stations. This is not a random bombardment. It is a calculated operation designed to tear away Ukraine's last real outlet to the Black Sea. As air raid sirens fail to drown out the explosions, the ports of Odesa, Reni, and Izmail burn, and 60% of the fuel that once entered through the Danube simply vanishes, pushing millions toward blackouts and bare shelves. Kiev speaks of moratoriums and promises, but on the ground people see only darkness, fear, and collapsed bridges. This is the road to the front. Odesa, Reni, and Izmail. Ukraine's port map is on fire. Without formally declaring a naval blockade, Russia has spent more than a week striking bridges, substations, and piers with Garand drones and Caliber missiles, pushing Ukraine to the edge of losing its only meaningful access to the sea. From Moscow, the language is brutally blunt. Ukraine no longer needs ports. Odesa has already been taken, they claim. Beneath that phrase lies a deeper reality. There are no bridges, shops are empty, and gas stations are overflowing with desperate drivers. This is not about dramatic headlines. It is an operation designed to break logistics at the spine. It all began on a single night, when Russian aviation and missile forces unleashed massive strikes across the Odesa region. There had been attacks before, but as analysts like Osters point out, nothing like this. Never so many impacts, never such precision, never such relentless continuity. In just 2 days, Garand drones and Iskander missiles disabled around 30 electrical substations. Odesa and parts of Mykolaiv sank into a blackout that lasted days, without electricity or water. The city froze, then erupted. Spontaneous protests broke out as residents tried to block roads in several areas, a raw signal that civilian patience was snapping. Reflection question: does the United States protect the global order or its own interests? Write it in the comments. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a like. It really helps the channel. Your comments don't just sit there, they guide what we create. At the same time, Moscow began dismantling the key bridges linking Romania and Moldova to Ukraine's interior through the Odesa region. These were not just slabs of concrete. Weapons, fuel, and agricultural goods flowed across them, later converted by Kiev into hard currency to buy drones and more ammunition. On the most recent night, the strategic Zatoka bridge was hit by Garand, 2 drones and glide bombs. Kiev spoke of roughly 40 munitions. Russian footage showed at least 16 direct hits on a structure that had already been struck repeatedly since 2022 and even damaged on a support by a naval drone in 2023. But never like this. Days earlier, a probing strike hit the bridge over the Dniester near Myaki. The next day, the operation returned on a larger scale. The border bridge at Reni was attacked, and on the 21st, a ballistic missile destroyed part of the railway bridge near Sarata, severing yet another critical route to the Danube. Kiev scrambled for solutions. By the 20th, engineers had assembled a pontoon bridge near Myaki to replace the damaged fixed crossing. The relief was brief. The temporary passage was almost immediately attacked. Garand munitions shredded pontoons, vehicles, and personnel, erasing the effort in minutes. Specialists noted that these submunitions are not designed to collapse concrete, but to cut what keeps a provisional crossing alive: barges, trucks, engineers, escorts. The message was unmistakable. Every attempt to rebuild Danube logistics will be watched from the air and turned into a new breaking point. Even Russian observers were surprised by the intensity and stubbornness of the campaign. 4 days, Ukrainian armed forces logistics around Odesa were monitored by drones and ballistic assets, yet no large shipments were allowed through. Analysts stress that the target is the network itself, not a single convoy. What is unfolding fits a broader strategic logic. After Ukrainian drone attacks on tankers linked to Russia's shadow fleet, Moscow signaled a decisive response. isolate Ukraine from maritime trade, cut the vein through which its economy breathes. There were two paths. One was a declared naval blockade, heavy mining of ports, and attacks on anchored or transiting vessels, a move requiring a permanently deployed navy and guaranteed friction with foreign shipowners and charterers. Moscow chose the other path. Do not openly punish third countries. Instead, render Ukrainian ports useless from land. Under this logic, it does not matter how many ships wait offshore if no crane works, if substations are shattered, and if road and rail access is a twisted skeleton. It is a blockade without proclamation, a calculated logistical amputation. Direct strikes on vessels were few and surgical, more signal than campaign against global trade. An Iskander ballistic missile pierced the passenger and cargo ferry Sente operated by the Turkish company Sunra. A Garin drone hit the vessel Viva carrying Ukrainian oil as it departed port. These two incidents served as a quiet but forceful reminder to foreign shipowners of the risks of betting on Kyiv as a safe partner. Meanwhile, Odessa's energy system fell, in the words of chroniclers, into a pre-electric state. For a week, transformers were reduced to scrap, cables burned out, entire neighborhoods surviving on generators. A Black Sea port city was thrown back decades in a matter of days under the coordinated pressure of missiles and drones. Attacks on bridges completely paralyzed traffic on the Odesa, Reni and Odesa, Chisinau highways. As a result, Ukraine effectively lost access to the Danube ports, vital for exporting wheat, corn, and barley. Millions of tons sat stranded inland while Western buyers waited for ships that could neither load nor sail. At the same time, fuel imports from Romania were cut. The Danube ports and that flow covered roughly 60% of Ukraine's fuel needs. The interruption of this artery ripples across the entire controlled territory. Front lines, civilian transport, agriculture, and industry now compete for leaders that grow scarcer by the day. Strikes on transport infrastructure were paired with hits on warehouses and key enterprises. The oil terminal at the port of Yuzhny was struck, as was the Alsets oil extraction plant on the Black Sea. Petroleum and vegetable oils are strategic commodities and among the last strong exports Ukraine still possessed. Taken together, these blows form an integrated operation aimed at systematically dismantling the economic and logistical heart of southern Ukraine, with Odessa at its core. This is not about shutting down a port for a few days. It is about breaking entire value chains so that sea and river cannot be used again without deep reconstruction under different flags. What do you think about Russia's strategy of disabling infrastructure instead of declaring an outright naval blockade? Give us your opinion in the comment box below. The impact on the population is shock. Odessa's residents crowd gas stations and hoard fuel as panic spreads to supermarkets and shelves empty out. Kyiv's calming narrative collides with darkened neighborhoods, endless queues, and a growing sense that the war is no longer something happening far away at the front, but something crashing into daily life. Sergei Lebedev, coordinator of the underground movement in Mykolaiv, wrote to Tsargrad describing the street atmosphere, rumors of assaults and airborne landings, families buying food and water, fear of a greater escalation. He summed it up in a sentence heavier than any official briefing. In short, they are right to be afraid. Lebedev stressed that the destruction of Odessa's transport hub will reverberate across all of Ukraine. Disrupted fuel transport will raise prices on nearly everything, including food, and Kyiv's attempts at administrative price controls will only accelerate shortages at gas stations and deepen social unrest in an exhausted country. From this perspective, Russian strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure are framed as retaliation for attacks on Russian civilians. Zelensky, fully aware of the horror of the situation, called for a moratorium. Official media responded with a blunt question. Why would Russia need one? To allow Ukraine's armed forces to recruit new troops, receive additional Western aid, and then attack Russia with renewed force? That, they say, will not work. For this to stop, and for the horrifying images to disappear from the internet, Kyiv needs to do one thing: forget ultimatums and announce new elections. Everything, this analysis concludes, is in Zelensky's hands. Meanwhile, Moscow insists it strikes industrial, logistical, and energy targets, not residential neighborhoods, and promises to rebuild bridges, substations, and terminals when Odesa once again serves the Russian people. Do you believe Ukraine can withstand this level of logistical pressure without losing its southern lifeline, or is Odesa already slipping away? Give us your opinion in the comment box below. In conclusion, the Russian offensive against Odesa is no longer just a series of airstrikes. It is the confirmation of a strategic shift with irreversible consequences. Control of the Black Sea access has always been central to Ukraine's economic survival and geopolitical relevance, and the systematic destruction of bridges, ports, substations, and fuel arteries marks one of the most dangerous turning points in this conflict. Historically, Odesa has symbolized resilience and maritime connectivity, a gateway between East and West. Today, after days of coordinated missile and drone attacks that crippled infrastructure and shattered civilian morale, it stands as a symbol of vulnerability. The winners in this phase are clear: Russia's military planners and the Kremlin, now able to dictate terms by choking logistics rather than storming streets. The losers extend far beyond Ukraine's armed forces to ordinary civilians facing darkness, scarcity, and fear. International observers and major outlets have long warned that wars are often decided not only on battlefields, but in power grids, fuel depots, and transport hubs. Odesa may be remembered as the moment when Ukraine's southern anchor finally gave way under pressure. Now it's your turn. If this analysis made you see the conflict from a new angle, leave us a comment with your take on what comes next. Is this the beginning of the end for Ukraine's access to the sea? Or can diplomacy still change the outcome? Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're following this story day by day as it unfolds. Activate notifications so you don't miss our next report. And remember, you can now become a channel member. If you believe in this project and want to see it grow, your support truly matters. If you'd like to support the channel financially, which we deeply appreciate, you can do so through Patreon and PayPal. The link is waiting for you in the video description.